Now let's take a look at number 24. Now I have the whole page here, as you notice, because 24 is called a duet. A duet is where you have two parts play together at the same time. If you notice in this duet, we have a part 1, and then part 1 again, part 1 again, and part 1 again. All right? Now if you notice also, there's a part 2. So here's a part 2, part 2, part 2, part 2. So the top line of music is going to be what we call the melody. And that one is playing all the way through top line. So when you get to this next set, don't go on to here. You're going to go on to here. And then here. And then here. All right? So let's say I play the melody and you're going to play part 2, which is the harmony. The harmony part is the second line here. So you can play the second line, second line, second line, second line. All right? So that's how it looks in regular musical notation. Now let's take a look at it with the tablature. Now notice with 24, notice I marked it here, we have our notes, the notation on the treble clef. Here's the tab. So these two lines right here are going to be part 1. Then notice these lines here that connect all the way down to here. That means that this is part 1, this is going to be part 2. So if you're reading part 1, you're going to read all the way through, like there's the tab, here's the notes. You're going to skip this part, and you're going to go ahead and play part 1 here. Again, the tabs and the notes. Skip this part, and then again, here's part 1. All right? Likewise, if you're going to play part 2, here's part 2. Skip this one. Here's part 2. Skip this one, and there's part 2. All right? Now, I know it's really quite small because I've had to shrink it down so I could fit the whole page onto the computer screen like this. And this is where it gets to be a little bit more handy if you have this piece of music printed out. Now, in your own music, you can probably blow it up bigger on your computer screen and you can see it easier. All right? So we're going to do 2 times through this piece. We're going to do part A, or line 1, the melody. And then we're going to go ahead and do line B, or part 2, the harmony. And while we're playing, you could play along with me, or you could play with me in the opposite part. And notice how these are all quarter notes here and half notes. These are all quarter notes here and half notes. If you compare the parts, all the notes or rhythms are the same. So if I'm playing part A and I'm playing my melody here, and you're on part B and you're hitting your notes at a different time than I am, something's wrong. So you're going to count and play exactly the same rhythms as I am. The only difference is we're playing different music. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and play the melodies first, and then we're going to take a look at the chords. So let's get started. Ready? Let's go ahead and do line 1. 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. All right, and that uses all 3 strings as well. Now let's play the harmony, the orange line, or part 2. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now let's go ahead and play the chords. So as we look at the chords on this piece, notice we have a C chord, we have a G7, C, G7, C, C, G7, C, and then we have one other chord right here too, a D7 chord. A D7 is very similar to a D chord. The only thing is it looks like just the opposite triangle that it is. Notice that the first finger is going to be on the first fret of the second string. And it's kind of cool because we just got off of that same fingering with the C chord. Look, my first finger is on the second string, first fret of the C chord, and it stays on there for the D7. So then you're going to put your second finger on the third string, second fret, and you're going to put your third finger on the second fret of the first string. So you just came from a C chord, and now you're just going to slide that one down one and then pull this one over here. All right, so that looks like this. When you're going from your C chord, go to your D7. There's your D7. You got your C, D7. All right, and then we go from there. Now, one thing I want to show you as well is the counting or the rhythms when you play these chords. You're going to play the C chord 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, G7 for beats 3 and 4. C chord for 2 beats, G7 for 2 beats, C chord for the full measure, 2 beats, G7 for 2 beats, C, 2 beats, G7, 2 beats, and then now we're down to here. Okay, we don't go to here because remember it's a duet. C chord for 4 counts or 4 beats. D7 all the way through until G7, C, then G7 for 2 beats, C for 2 beats, G7 for 2 beats, and then our C chord for 4 counts to the end. All right, so watch where those chords line up with whatever beat it is on the measure, and that'll tell you when you need to change for your chord changes. All right, so again, you can use whatever strumming pattern you want. If it's easier for you right now because you're still getting used to switching, if it's easier for you just to go down, 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 and so on. Now, if that's easier, that's cool. If it's easier just to kind of go one strum, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. C chord, and so on and so on, that would be fine because I know that these 2-beat chord changes go really quick, right? Here we go. Let's go ahead and play it. 1, 2, ready, C chord. Ready, D7. G7, C. And there you go. So watch out, that's kind of cool. It has the C, D7, so that's kind of a fun change. And notice I'm moving my arm and my elbow too because it helps my hands. Don't have to think that you have to have your elbow in all the time and just move your fingers. Move your arms around too. You need to be relaxed. So it's kind of like you're flicking water off your fingertips. That's how relaxed your wrist should be. So I got my C chord. I got to my D7 chord. I don't want to be stiff and then just move my, ow, it hurts my hands, right? It gets too tight. Just relax the wrists. And so you can go, and then back to G7, see that? So, you know, just move that arm around and keep everything nice and loose and flowing. All right, keep working on these. It's a lot of fun. Practice both parts and both parts with the videos together like a duet and practice the chords. I'll see you in the next lesson.